Hello, beautiful souls. Hello, and welcome back to Annie Around the Wild. Whether you're new or you're just returning, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being part of my journey. Thank you for being a part of my tiny little channel here on YouTube. And thank you just so much for being here along the ride. So yeah, without further ado, so for today, I wanted to make a video for all of you about what it's been like, pretty much, van life and full-time living out on the road in the wintertime versus the summertime. I have had a bit of experience with both already, and there are some big differences, and like those tiny little differences that there are, I really want to talk about them and just let everybody know, just in case. And yeah, hi. Yeah, did you have a good nap? My baby's over here sleeping in her tree. Let me see if I can get her to show here. Hold on. Hello. Say hi, everybody. There she is. So we're over here at the Cracker Barrel. I just had their really awesome food. So good. I love Cracker Barrel. I'm loving them so much. But yeah, so as I was sitting here, it is so busy, this parking lot, and while we wait for it to just die down a little bit, I just wanted to come out and make this video because there has been big differences. While I've been out on the road, I've been staying at a lot of campsites. Campsites have been like a huge thing for me and my baby girl, and mainly because they're just places that I can just stay for 2-3 days without having to constantly be on the move and constantly worry about like where are we going to spend the night and things like that. And I just wanted to make it like as little traveling days as possible for her, even though she is acclimated to the car rides. But she does complain a little bit, which is normal. She complains a little bit when we're on the freeways, and then she stops and she's cool. And that's normal. Honey, you're dropping your stuff over here. There you go. There you go. You're dropping your little lammies. I love you. Sorry, everybody. So yeah, I lost my train of thought for a second. So yeah, while we're here, I just wanted to, set some things straight about camping, because like I was just saying, I just wanted to make as little traveling days for my baby as possible. I don't want to, and also for myself, I don't want to like constantly every day be like, where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? I don't want to have to worry about that so much. And so campsites have been a good place to, go to. And I found just a few, or actually just like two, I think it's just two of them that are like only $15 a night. Everything else is pretty much very expensive. But it's still, if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do. So that's what, like, mainly that's what we've been doing. We've been staying at campsites. We haven't really been stealth parking or stealth camping, whatever you want to call it. We haven't been like doing that very much, so we're doing that a lot now, and that's why I wanted to actually make this video. I thought it would be interesting from how it was when I first started van life compared to now. And it's only a few months different, it's only like a 5 to 6 months of a difference, like 5 to 6 months of a difference, because compared to last year, 2024, end of the winter time 2024 into now summertime, June of 2025, it's been about 5 months now that I am full-time in the car here in the van. It's been quite a ride. It's been quite an adventure. I have had to, and I've made the videos from the rooms too, I have had to spend some money at some hotels when I was getting things like set up and going for the demolishment of that. It needs to eventually needs to happen for our home stuff, which if you're curious about what's going on, I have explained in prior videos what is going on with my situation. But yeah, if you hear car noises, I'm sorry, there's a street right over here, so I apologize. But yeah, so anyway, so there's been like challenges nonetheless, you know, no matter what, campground or stealth, there's definitely been challenges, but damn, some big differences. So in the winter time, when I first started everything, I mean, now I have the hang of everything, and it's comfortable for me, you know, and I'm happy. But it was a journey getting here, you know, to this place where I'm finally comfortable and like navigating things, getting the routine down and all of those things, you know, all of those important things. And now that I have, it does make it more comfortable. But like I was just saying, it has been quite a journey getting here. And so, I mean, in the wintertime, I have to say, I really do prefer the wintertime. Even though, good girl, you're going to finish your yummies? In the wintertime, it is like, it's really cold. You have to be careful, you know, and like things freeze over. So there's that issue. But I mean, other than that, it's really nice. You know, that it is cold and there isn't this heat to worry about. And also, mainly in the wintertime, nobody wants to really go camping. Like, there are not a lot of people out camping. I never had an issue, no matter where I was looking for a campsite, in like around in the national forests. It didn't matter where or how far or close. There was never an issue with finding an availability or anything like that, you know. And, you know, compare that now to the summertime, now here in the spring and the summertime, actually, because it started in the springtime and then it just has gotten worse. You know? So not only do the bugs and mosquitoes and all those insects come out in the spring and summertime, but all the campers do too. So, you know, and like really big families, because it's like hot weather and stuff, there's like big groups of people out and about and everything, and it's just it could be very chaotic, and your privacy can definitely feel like you don't even have any privacy sometimes. That's definitely for sure. One of the times, for example, in one of the campgrounds that I would stay at, you know, which I never had an issue, come to spring and summertime, and it's a zoo, you know. And, you know, overnight when I got there and I set up and everything was okay. Everything was fine. There was no problems, right? And then while I was in my car, when it gets dark, you know, I put my my windshield covers and my window covers and everything. I put those on. And so the covers were on, and I, you know, throughout the night and stuff, I noticed that there was like a lot of noise and everything. And then fast forward to the morning, I come out and to like, you know, do my day, get out and everything. So I get out, and oh my goodness, I see that there like is a huge group of people, like a family here in their campsite, and all their huge tents, because there's such a big group of people, they didn't fit in their huge site. Mind you, the sites are like not small, so they didn't fit in their area. So they had infringed into my campsite, and so they were literally right outside of my door, like right there in my area, you know, and they were in my campsite. Now that's happened to me twice already, and I just think that's crazy. You know, that's happened to me 2 times, 2 different places. And the adults, you know, you would think that the adults would say something or do something or be better or whatever. But no, nope, they're part of the problem. They're totally part of the problem. I'm just like, what is going on here? It's like people go camping and they think that like they're in some kind of lawless ground or something, you know. It's like, no, you're in a governed land. You know, it's like, this isn't some like lawless territory, you know. So I think just people like just lose their senses or something. I have no idea. I don't really know, but that's something I definitely have not been enjoying. And another thing is the whole like not being able to find a campsite in the wintertime. You literally would never have an issue with finding anywhere, you know. If you needed a place or for a night, there was a place for a night. Now, no, nothing. And then hosts are changing, and so new hosts have, like, also for some places I've noticed the new hosts have changed the way you make the reservations on like recreation.gov, for example. And now instead of saying like you can, you know, it's like you have to make reservations every day. Now they've made like certain days first come first serve. So much worse, because it's like, so now you're gonna have to drive all the way out to some place in hopes that it's not taken. You know, it's just not my cup of tea. Honey, you keep dropping this. Yeah, why you keep dropping your lammies? Sorry, everybody. So yeah, that's just not my cup of tea. You know, it's just not something. I don't do like first come first serve places. I try to stay away from them if I can, because it's just, I don't want to drive all the way out somewhere only then to find out it's all full, it's all taken, there's no place, I have to drive somewhere else, etc., etc. So I don't want to have to deal with that. So I just stay away from first come first serve spots. And so some of the places I've been liking to camp, because the host changed in some of these places, you know, things have changed. So there's that. So hosts change seasonally because those are seasoned jobs. So if you really like a host in one campground that you're at, you like how they're running things, how they're keeping things, how they're like keeping things up, then, you know, just, they're not permanent, you know, they're just know that they're seasonal, and the hosting jobs are only a seasonal job, in which I would love to do. I don't even know how you would get into that, but that's definitely something I would want to do. Definitely. I would love to do a seasonal hosting job. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Yeah, like whenever my baby, I mean, she's not going to need medicine, knock on wood, you know, in 2 months when we stop the chemo, hopefully she doesn't react in a negative way. Hopefully the cancer, the stage 2 lymphoma doesn't come back, and hopefully, you know, if we can rock and roll like that, then, you know, we can rock and roll and do, like, look to see for a seasonal hosting gig. But again, I don't even know where to start for something like that. I have no idea. I've never done something like that. I don't even know anyone to ask about something like that. I can maybe ask like Bob Wells in the Home on Wheels Alliance. I am part of their Facebook group, so I could probably send that question out on there, and I'm sure there'll be someone there to help me out with that. So that would be something that I want to look into, because I would love that. But something where I don't have to clean toilets. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be like a princess, but no, sorry. This chick ain't cleaning no one else's toilet. I clean my toilet and my fur baby's toilet, and that's it. That's where it ends. That's gross enough for me, okay? Oh man. But yeah, with all seriousness, yeah, I would really love to get a hosting gig job. That'd be a lot of fun. Also a whole like season I wouldn't have to worry about where am I going to stay, what am I going to do, and I don't have to worry about constantly having to like drive from one place to another also. So that would honestly be really nice, you know, if there's like a nice place where, you know, I can like get that here in this state. That would be really cool. That would be a lot of fun. That'd be a really cool experience I would love to have. Yeah. So there's that. So the hosts are not permanent. So if you like them and everything, they do change. And then whenever they do change, things like that happen. Like, for example, like I was just saying, how like the way you make reservations and all of those things, you know, that has now changed. It's not like you can make reservations all week, like all 7 days. Now it's like, okay, these days you can make reservations. These days it's first come, first serve, you know. And I don't understand why they did that, because then I don't even understand, like, how do you pay then if it's first come, first serve in some of these places? Because reservations are on recreation.gov. So how do you pay for the first come, first serve places? And like service, even with Starlink, is squashy in a lot of these places. So how does that work? So that's interesting. So so I'm not exactly sure, but that's one thing I'm not, you know, one of the main things that I'm not enjoying in the summertime is the fact that everything is so crowded. Everywhere is so crowded. So that's a huge challenge. It is cool that there's some campsites with showers, but I honestly really prefer the gym shower. I really do. It's, you know, as clean as they try to keep the camping showers, they are still, at the end of the day, campground showers, you know, so there's bugs and insects and stuff, you know, and I don't like to have to deal with nastiness like that, you know. And they're not cleaned as well as the gym showers, you know. Like, not to be gross, but there was like, you know, sometimes, you know, after people use it, there's like goo and stuff like that in places that you can't see, and you like put something down and it gets on it and it's gross. And I'm sorry, I did not care that much for the campground shower, and I barely used it. I did not like it. I didn't, you know, when I first had gotten to the campsite with the shower, which one was it? I have the video. I have it on video on my channel. Which campground? What was it called? Something State Park. I can't remember the name of it, but some kind of state park where it was like farms all around and stuff. And they had showers. And so when I first like got there and checked in to my campsite, the showers were really nice and clean. And like I took a shower that day, and I didn't have an issue. Everything was actually clean. But that was the only time everything was actually clean, you know, like that, which was very, like, I was confused, you know. I was like, was that just, I just got lucky? You know, I don't know, but I'll take it, you know, whatever. At least I got that one time where it was nice and clean without any issues, you know, or even insects, you know, because that was the only time. I don't know, I guess I got lucky. I don't know, the universe was like, you've been through the struggle, man. At least here is a peaceful shower. You know. So I don't know, man. But yeah, after that, it wasn't such a like great clean experience, you know. So yeah, I definitely much so prefer the gym shower. And when I say gym, let me just talk about that for a second too. I'm in my mid-30s, and I'm 36 years old, and ever since I was like 17 or 18, I think it's 18, I was a 24-hour fitness, you know. So I've been with that gym for a while, on and off, you know. If like I've ever had a time in my life where I couldn't afford it anymore, I would stop it. And then when I can afford it again, I would start it again. Now, with that said, for van life, I was like, okay, I don't need that like huge gym, you know, because I work out. When I work out, you know. And I used to, you know, before, now I can't really do something like that. It's hot outside, so I can't leave my baby in the car. But when it does get cold, I could. Like, their gym is awesome. So anyway, so when I got into van life, I was like, maybe I should think about like Planet Fitness or something, like something a little cheaper. And I was like, I haven't really tried too many gyms. I've tried other boxing gyms and stuff, which I really liked and everything. But then boxing gyms have gotten ridiculous prices. So I have been staying away from those for a couple years. But other than like boxing gyms and stuff, it's pretty much been 24-hour fitness. So for me, that's just been my preference. That's it. Because I just love that, how big it is and how many different machines there are and how there's machines for like everything that I need, and it's just kept well. It's kept well, okay? The 24-hour fitnesses, for the most part, are kept well, okay? Some can do a better job than others, but for the most part, they're kept pretty well. Now, so I tried to go like the cheaper route, and I went with Planet Fitness, and I went to the Planet Fitness my first time there, and I was like expecting this like huge gym with all of these machines, and like I didn't realize that Planet Fitness, I mean, no offense, but I'm just being honest, this is just my honest opinion, but I didn't realize that like Planet Fitness is pretty much like just like a one room area, and just like compacted all the machines that they can right next to each other like that in one little room area, and that's the gym. That's it. I mean, they're mainly like, honestly, their main like thing is like they have massage chairs and like a self-tanning booths and things like that. Not things like that, that's it. Those are the two things, and so I don't know. I mean, it was so tiny. And then machines are just like crammed next to each other, like, like airplane seats. And I'm just like, no. So I didn't work out. I was like, okay, I'm not going to work out. I'm just going to go shower. I'm just going to go shower. And I knew this was going to take a while because it was my first time there. So I had actually left my fur baby at my parents' house at the time because the house was still like, it hasn't been demolished yet. So I kept her over there while I went over here. So I had done that. So yeah, it was just no. So I go to the showers. Okay. So I say, okay, I'm not going to work out. I go into the showers and I go to shower, and there's no like divider. Ooh, sorry, there's like people laughing outside. But yeah, so there's no like divider for like where you keep your towel and stuff from the water, so things can just splash all over. So there's no like nothing there. And it was very dirty. It was just very dirty. It was not very clean at all. And I didn't really have a good experience showering. So I tried it twice. I gave it a chance 2 times, and I just didn't have a good experience with it. So I canceled my membership before like it got too late. So I canceled my membership, and I went back to 24 hours. And now here I am at 24 hours, so still with 24 hours. And so yeah, so when I go to the gym, that's just the one I prefer. And if I can honestly, gosh, they're so rare, but if I can just find ones that have like underground parking in some way for my baby girl, those are like the most helpful ones. Just in this season, in the next 4 months when it's gonna be like really hot, it's gonna like we're gonna be getting into triple digits. So I'm just trying to, I'm not gonna leave her in the car obviously, but if it's an underground parking lot, that's totally fine. The inside of the car is not gonna get that hot. And before I leave and I park in those parking lots, I have like the AC going before I leave and everything, so it can get nice and cold in here. And then I have the fans on for her, so it's perfect temperature. When I get back, it's perfect temperature. So it's very helpful when things are like with an underground parking, but that is also very, again, hard to find and come by. So there's that is very difficult. Yeah, so in the wintertime, I don't have that problem. In the wintertime, I can just go to the gym wherever and just put my window covers up, and she'll be fine until I get back. You know, it's not going to get too hot in the car. It's not going to, you know, nothing. And I have a pet temperature monitor. I have the Waggle device. Like, I've had that even when we had the Kia. I've had that for a while already, like probably a little over a year now. But yeah, that Waggle is very helpful. So I have that. So if it does get to, I have it set at a certain temperature, and once it gets to there, it'll alert me. And it's never alerted me, knock on wood, for that temperature. So I always am very careful. I never just like leave my fur baby. I would never do that. She's my angel. She's my baby. She is my everything. You know, without her, there is no me. She's the reason why, you know, I stopped drinking and I'm sober. And, you know, for as long as I have been, she's the one who got me sober. You know, she's the, you know, everything. I mean, she's my everything. She is my everything. Okay, so I don't just, you know, every single thing I do, every single move is all based on her and circled around her and her comfort and whether it's okay, you know, and everything. So that's also really important. That's a responsibility I have by being, you know, her parent. I'm her mom, and that's my responsibility. So I need to just make sure that, you know, that's all okay and everything is set to go for her to be okay and to not be in danger or uncomfortable in any way. And those shower days are like one of the main things to worry about when it's summertime. And it's kind of a pain in the ass, but what can you do? You know what I mean? I was thinking of like, you know, maybe like using Love's gas station showers. But then I heard that those are like $20 or something. So it's like, I'm not going to pay that much for a shower. You know, that's ridiculous. Especially if I have a gym membership. I just think that's ridiculous of a price. I'm not going to pay that much for a shower. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. So yeah, I mean, for a shower, get out of here. It's just water. See, no way. That's ridiculous. So yeah, so the gym is my main source to shower. That's where I prefer to shower right now. That's, you know, and for, you know, when it's just like kept well, it's cleaned every day, and that's where I'm comfortable. So it's just tricky because it's in the summertime. So again, when you have a pet, there's a lot of things and a lot of variables that you have to think about that a lot of people who are just solo without a pet don't have to think about, you know, or worry about. So there's a lot of variables. You just got to make sure that you're on them and you're just on your tasks, you know, and you don't ever like slip when it comes to your fur baby, because they rely on us to keep them safe, you know, safe and healthy. So yeah, I just wanted to say those differences about summertime versus wintertime. I think I pretty much covered everything, you know, just that, you know, there are a lot more challenges when it's summertime for everything, you know, finding a place, everything's full, everyone's all over the place, everyone's everywhere. And yeah, there isn't a lot of silence, and there's a lot of bugs and mosquitoes. The only main problem and thing that is hard in the winter time is just like trying to make sure things don't like freeze over in like the cooler and stuff, you know, because it gets so cold that sometimes things will just have this thin tiny layer of like ice over it, you know, so it'll have this like thin thing. So that's the only real challenge I've faced in the winter time. And another one has also obviously been just sleeping, like keeping it hot, you know, but I figured it out. You know, my sleeping bag is a great sleeping bag. It's like a 0-degree sleeping bag. I love my sleeping bag. I do not know what brand it is, but I absolutely love it. It's a 0-degree sleeping bag, and it just keeps me warm no matter what. If like how cold it's been, it's kept me warm. And then my baby, she has in her carrier, because at home she has a pod that she goes in, and that pod, it plugs in, and like inside the pod, it's like this little mat, and that mat has a cord, and the cord, when you plug it in, it like just heats up from their body heat. So what I did is the pod itself doesn't fit in here. It only fits if I put it in the passenger seat, but she has her driving car seat in the passenger seat, and I don't want to change that because it's 2 floors, and so it's kind of like meant for 2 pets, and the top is where she sits. She doesn't go on the bottom anyway, so I've turned the bottom into my storage area as well, so I have some shoes in there and stuff. So I don't want to change her car seat, you know, but you know, there's that. But so the pod doesn't fit in here, but what I did is I took the inside of the pod out, and I have it here in her carrier, and I made it into like the like little crate mat. And so if honestly on it, just normally without being plugged in, it does warm up with her body a little bit, and when it gets really cold, I'll just plug it in. It's like, I think only like 4 watts or something like that, so it doesn't take up much energy, which is great that it's only 4 watts, you know. So I'll just plug that in, and then in her crate, she'll have that to heat up. So, and then she has a bunch of blankets and everything. She did have a heating blanket in here, but I actually took that out because it was just taking up all of her room, and she actually likes it better now and hangs out in the spaces that she has more without it, just because it was just so big and taking up so much room. So she has the heating pad, and then all her blankets. You know, she has a bunch of blankets, some thin ones for the summertime, some thick ones for the wintertime. So she's good, my baby, because and she has jackets and stuff. So my baby is good. I made sure that she's okay when it gets really cold at nights. But it's nice, you know, and I mean, worst case scenario, just use the car heater, you know, but it's so nice when it's cold, and when it's hot, it's like disgusting, you know, you feel gross, and then when it's humid, you feel sticky and nasty, and it just doesn't feel good. It's like, ugh. Like when I was staying at the beach, it was beautiful weather, and that's also in a prior video you should go check out. But when I was staying over there, it was beautiful weather, and then it started raining or like sprinkling. And once it sprinkled, it got so disgustingly humid that I left. I was like, this is so disgusting. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so there's definitely a lot of challenges in the summertime versus winter. So yeah, because also I'm in California, it's not like in the wintertime it snows here, so I don't have snow to worry about here. I mean, it snows in certain parts, yeah, like Big Bear and like Castaic and stuff, you know, but where I'm locally, it doesn't snow, so I don't have to really worry about that. But like places I go, I do, because there are some closures, like places that do snow, they'll close, so and not allow you access for safety. So that, you know, but that's, you know, that's not all of the places, you know. So yeah, those are like the main differences pretty much that I have faced and seen and experienced being out here on the road for, I don't know, a few months now. And yeah, I just wanted to share it with you, you know, season-wise, winter versus summer. And also spring and summer, let's say that. Being out here on the road, you know, camping full time, you know, having to find places and everything. Those are a lot of the differences, you know. So yeah, there's definitely, in this summertime, there's definitely, I will say, there is a more heavier need to stealth park. Because it's so hard to find places, you know, like I said. So it's very, yeah, so it is kind of easier, but then you're just driving constantly. You know, you're having to like wake up and then drive somewhere, you know, for the day, spend the day somewhere, and then go to your night spot, and then again, wake up early in the morning and then drive again. So it's just a lot of driving back and forth from place to place to place. So that's the only, like, that's the only thing that's kind of like a bitch, you know. So especially with gas prices. But yeah, I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you get something helpful from this video. And until next time, remember to stay wild and stay free and to stay true to yourselves, beautiful souls. Blessed be. Bye, everybody.